happens to your jewellery when you're cremated? Why do graves need to be so deep? With answers to those questions and more as Undertaker-turned-author Chris Mann. Hello, welcome to the show.
Morning, Jeanette.
This is book 2 that we've got out now,
Yes.
More 6 Feet Down Under, essentially by popular demand, because your first one was a huge success.
It was. As I say, it was always intended only to write the one book, but I had so many requests to write a follow-up.
Yep.
So the next one was born to keep everyone happy.
So what's it all about? What do you write about? I mean, I know part of it is 50 most asked questions.
Yeah. Primarily the first one was pretty much like an autobiography about my career.
Yep.
Starting as a funeral director's assistant up into becoming a funeral director, and everything that happened from A to B, pretty much. The second book just covers off several more stories that I didn't put into the first book.
Yep.
And I also answer 50 of the most common questions often directed to funeral directors.
What would be the most common question?
Probably the most common question would be, do you actually get cremated in the casket that you purchase? Right. There's obviously a misconception out there that funeral directors reuse caskets, which is certainly not the case at all.
No, so the whole lot goes in.
Everything you purchase goes in the cremator.
I've always been intrigued with funeral directors, not that I've met many, but as you've been to funerals, as to what draws you to the profession? What makes you want to be one?
I think there's a bit of an element of mystique about the profession, because no one really knows what's going to happen to us when we die. So I think you've got to be a little bit curious as well, but I think also you've got to be a caring and empathetic person. Yeah. You sort of got to like helping people, and you get a lot of reward from actually helping people through the grief process. Do
you find that you have to distance yourself from the emotion, though?
Most definitely, yeah, most definitely. I mean, obviously you are empathetic to an extent, but because you don't actually know the people, you have to switch off. You have to be able to switch off, otherwise you're not going to be much help to them. But I mean, in saying that, there's been plenty of times where I've been down the back of a church or a chapel with a lump swelling my throat and a bit of a tear in the corner of the eye, but you just quickly repress those feelings and concentrate on the task at hand.
Is there ever humour to be found in your role, is it?
Yeah, there's humour in every job, yeah.
Where's the humour?
Well, probably a little bit of black humour, I suppose, behind closed doors, but it's like any industry. Things will happen that don't always go to plan, and obviously funeral times is not the time where you really don't want things to go to plan, but on occasions it does happen, and sometimes it can just be that little thing that can actually break the ice and make people sort of release a lot of tension from within. You write in the book, there's lots of different experiences, but in dealing with victims from drunk drivers who you don't have a lot of empathy for. No, in terms of the drunk driver. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, it's very, very frustrating actually attending a lot of accidents with drink drivers. There's so many media campaigns on, not to drink and drive. If you drive, you're a bloody idiot, etc., etc. Yet it still does seem to happen. And going to these accidents, well, you can't even really call them an accident almost. A person's made the conscious decision to drink and then drive. It's very, very frustrating, and for the sake of $40 or $50, they could have had a taxi fare and been home tucked up warm in bed instead of been driven in my hearse to the mortuary cold and lifeless.
Have you planned your own funeral? Do you know what you want?
I did plan it many years ago when I was working in the funeral industry, and...
Is that an odd thing to do at your age?
No, not really. I suppose it just sort of... You deal with so many people that have sort of been cut down before their time was due, and so I sort of thought, well, it might be a good time to actually fill out the arrangement sheet, get it all down on paper as to exactly what I want, but I can't exactly remember everything I've arranged now, but I think there's some things I want to change.
Maybe it's a job for a rainy day again.
Exactly.
But you're now no longer doing it. You're a cop.
Yes, I joined the police about 8 or 9 years ago. I've always wanted to be a policeman. I think it's every young boy's dream to be a policeman at some point in their life. They sort of obviously consider their career. And when I first wanted to join the police, I was too young to join at the age of 17. I still wanted a life less ordinary. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Happened to be at my grandfather's funeral, watching the casket and go out to the hearse, and I thought it might be an interesting career. So I started off funeral directing, but obviously the more involvement I had with the police, attending jobs with the police, the more I decided, I definitely want to do a career as a police officer.
And I would imagine your experience as a funeral director has helped.
It has. Probably
in
only
some ways.
Probably only in the area around sudden deaths.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's other aspects of the job where it doesn't make any difference, but the sudden deaths is something that I'm comfortable dealing with grieving families, and quite often on section I'm sort of quite happy to put my hand up and go off to a sudden death, because it's not something that every cop enjoys going to.
Absolutely.
Is dealing with the deceased.
I just want to quickly finish off. I love the way you wrap up the book with words of advice for folk, which is to tell your family, your loved ones, that you love them, because so often they're taken before you get a chance
important,
to do that.
and I have heard that so many times during so many eulogies, hundreds of times. People basically express to the audience and the congregation and basically say, look, tell your family and your friends that you love them.
Yeah.
Tell them today. A lot of people had the regret that they didn't get the chance to tell the person that they love them, because of the fact that the person was called unexpectedly, whether it be through a medical event such as a heart attack or an accident. So
do it.
Yeah, you never
do it
know.
every day.
So do it every day and tell them you love
Absolutely.
them. Very important.
Cool. More 6 Feet Down Under available at bookshops around the country.
Yeah,
Good
bookshops
stuff.
around the country. Yeah, most
Thank you so
definitely.
much.
That's
Good
okay.
stuff, Chris.